Hey gang, this is Ryan Cozy. I hope and pray that everybody's doing well. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I've given a Circle Groups update. My apologies for that. My margin just hasn't been a ton lately, and so as I've been working on other initiatives that I'm responsible for here, I finally had a few moments on my to-do list to say, make sure that you get a good piece of communication out to the folks that lead Circle Groups. And so I just wanted to take a moment to do that. Very specifically, one of the things that I've really been processing through very recently, just with circumstance. It has been a very heavy start to 2016 for myself and for my family and for friends. And so, in particular, we have some friends that are going through some very heavy trials right now. And as I have been processing through that and just asking God, Lord, what are you teaching me? And then how can we tangibly love and how can we tangibly serve the people that you've put in our lives that are going through difficult situations? A couple of things stuck out to me, and I'm a big book person, and so it's like when I think of something that might help, I try to bring that information along and provide that to people. And so the first thing that I've personally begun to think more about is the aspect of walking with God through pain and suffering. So this is a book that is actually available through our bookstore, and you can get it online as well. I'm not saying you have to go through our bookstore necessarily, but here's what I would say is I'm trying to understand what it looks like to walk with God through pain and suffering with friends that are going through that very thing. It is not an easy task, but what I have seen is the following. There is much fruit for us to gain when we walk with people through pain and suffering, for our own spiritual formation and for the glory of God. God's teaching me a lot as I watch people suffer well. My daughter and I were actually going through the process of memorizing some chapters in the book of James this year, and it talks in James 1 about blessed is the man who perseveres under a trial, for once he has been found approved, he will receive the crown of life which God promises to those that he loves. And even just the other day, my daughter reminded me of that as I was praying about and thinking about a situation that had developed that was honestly, it was a frustrating conversation, and it was very difficult for me to process through that well. So I just wanted to recommend this as a resource. I personally have yet to finish reading this book, and so, but I do recommend it. I've read a good amount of Tim Keller's work in the past, and I look forward to finishing this book as well. But there's enough in here that I think would be very helpful for you as you try to think about ways that you can walk alongside of someone who is in pain or suffering, or maybe you directly are struggling with pain and suffering, and just a path to walk for the glory of God through that. I recommend this book to you all as Circle Group leaders. And I would also just say, look for those opportunities where God is putting people in your path that may be struggling with walking with Him through pain and suffering. The second thing that I just want to provide as a resource is this book here, and it's called Creating a Missional Culture. And this actually is a book that's been written by a good friend of mine, J.R. Woodward, and he has been someone who over the years has taught me a great deal about pursuing being a disciple daily and never divorcing that from our responsibility to engage people that do not know Jesus. And so that is something I know if you've watched these over the last year or so, you know that one of the passions that I have is I really want to make sure that the circle groups that are represented at the chapel are doing a couple of things really, really well. Number one, we are growing closer to God. Number two, we are looking for ways to tangibly serve. And number three, we are looking for ways to bring forth the proclamation of the gospel as we earn the right to be heard in conversations and opportunities for relationships that God gives us. And JR is one of the most missional people that I've ever met. And so he recommended this to me, and I recommend it to you. I love you, gang. I hope and pray that you're doing well. And if you are walking through a heavy time this year, or you have a friend who's walking through a heavy time, just know this. We have a miraculous God that we serve. And I trust that His healing hand can be on the lives of people that are walking through difficult things. And I lay those requests at His feet. But I also submit myself to His ultimate will. And so I pray and hope that as you're walking through things with people, or you yourself may be walking through issues yourself, that you understand the God that we serve. God bless you. I love you, and I hope you're doing well. And I pray that you bring the salt and light of the gospel into the dark places where God has placed you. Be well.